Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. So the last update about Unfortunate Love was how Vikrant finally get engaged to Lakshmi because the CCTV footage got deleted and then Rishi couldn't prove that Vikrant is a fraud. So let's continue from there. Vikrant tells Ayush that he cannot do anything against him because he has not done anything wrong. Ayush says a criminal might be very clever, but he makes mistake once, then he gets caught. Ayush says you have been saved twice, but you will not be saved for the third time. Vikrant tells Ayush that he is truthful and he is not afraid of anyone. Ayush asks Vikrant to remember his words when he gets caught, and Vikrant laughs. Ranu comes to Shalu, Bani and Neha and asks them to congratulate Lakshmi. They come to Lakshmi. Shalu and Bani hug Lakshmi and says we are not lying about Vikrant and says cement promise. Saloni asks Shalu and Bani not to be sad and says we are not taking your sister now. There is time for farewell. She asks them to dance. Karishma says the engagement has already happened and Jana says real dance can happen after the engagement. Ahana thinks that she has to fake her smile for sister-in-law's happiness, but she is not happy. Rishi is eating on the punching bag and he imagines Vikrant laughing at him. Saloni, Ahana and others dance. Saloni comes to Shalu, Bani and Neha and asks them to dance, but they refused. Neha asks Ranu to come and dance and she goes to dance. Vikrant takes out a foam smiley ball from his pocket and takes out his frustration. He comes to Rishi and eats on the punching bag. Rishi looks at Vikrant. Vikrant and Rishi both eat the punching bag at the same time. Vikrant asks that what will happen if Rishi eats it and says you have insulted my ego and says you are the first and last person to do that. Vikrant says to Rishi that his mind works 24 hours and he can clearly see love in Rishi's innocent eyes for Lakshmi. He says if I had told everyone that you don't want Lakshmi to go away from here, then they would have raised hand on you. Rishi says I am not afraid of anyone because I haven't done anything wrong. Rishi says to Vikrant that you have done mistakes and finger and hand will be raised on you and only time will tell whose finger and hand will be raised on you. The priest tells Grandma that he will leave. Grandma asks the priest to have food. The priest says he used to have food in a copper utensils, but they don't have it. Lakshmi says that she got some copper utensils kept in the outhouse and says she will go and bring it. Vikrant accepts in front of Rishi that he was with his girlfriend today and even that day in that house and says that day you did not believe Ayush and today nobody believed you. Vikrant says to Rishi that I am having an affair and says after meeting Lakshmi, I have my heart on her as well. Rishi gets angry and says you are ruining two lives at the same time. Vikrant says everyone will be happy. Nobody's life will be ruined. He says you cannot do anything and says my girlfriend deleted the video and took out the fuse when the light went off earlier. Vikrant says to Rishi that you couldn't do anything in your house when this thing happened. So why are you getting angry? He says you have hurt my ego and says I will take revenge from you. He gives Rishi an open challenge that he will marry Lakshmi and he asks Rishi to stop him if he can and he goes away from there. Rishi shouted in anger. He sees Lakshmi going to the outhouse and he thinks that why is Lakshmi going there? Ayush takes out his anger by shouting. Shalu and Bani ask him to control his anger and pain. Ayush says he is very pained because nobody is believing them. Shalu says first, brother-in-law did not believe us and now nobody is believing brother-in-law. Ayush says that creep Vikrant has become great in everyone's eyes. Bani asks Ayush to think about Rishi, how he must be feeling. Ayush says I cannot control it and I want to grab Vikrant by his neck and says he wants to betray my sister-in-law. How dare him? He cries badly. Shalu asks Ayush to pacify him and says my sister is lucky to have you as her brother-in-law. Ayush says to Shalu that I couldn't do anything to help sister-in-law and says I have failed. Shalu says we will lose if we accept defeat. Rishi thinks that Lakshmi was inside. Then why is she going outside? Bani says the truth will be brought in front of everyone by God. And Shalu says Vikrant will be exposed for sure. Ayush says to Shalu and Bani that the marriage would happen soon. Shalu says we will keep trying until we succeed and we would expose Vikrant before the marriage. Rishi goes to the outhouse. Malishka thinks that where is Rishi? Vikrant asks Grandma that where is Lakshmi and Grandma says that Lakshmi went outside for some work. Saloni comes to Vikrant and asks him to come with her for a dance. She asks that where is Lakshmi? Vikrant says Lakshmi went for some work. Saloni asks Vikrant to dance with her and they started dancing. Vikrant then dances with Malishka as Lakshmi is not there. Lakshmi comes to the outhouse and thinks that the condition of the place is bad. I should take the trunk and leave. She thinks that I had kept the plate here. Someone must have taken it, and she thinks that she has to search for it. Else the priest will go without having food and it will be like an insult. Lakshmi is looking for the copper plate. Just then, a high stool is about to fall on Lakshmi, but Rishi comes there and pulls Lakshmi away at the right time. Rishi recalls Karishma telling him that they will keep him away from Lakshmi so that he is not near Lakshmi when the attack happened to Lakshmi. Rishi asks Lakshmi that what is she doing here. Lakshmi says she had come to get the copper plate utensils for the priest. Rishi says I will bring the plate in 10 minutes and he asks Lakshmi to come. Just then, the thing started falling from the roof and the door gets closed. Rishi and Lakshmi hug each other out of fear. Ranu thinks that she got a chance to stay here after much time and says they have many ACs and the electricity bill must be big. She thinks to make an excuse and stay in Vikrant's house after Lakshmi and his marriage. Neelam asks Grandma that where is Lakshmi, and Grandma says Lakshmi has gone to bring some stuff from the outhouse. Neelam says today is Lakshmi's engagement, so she shouldn't have went there. Grandma says I felt good seeing your concern for Lakshmi. Neelam thinks that Lakshmi's destiny took her to the outhouse because today is one of the days that attack will come upon Lakshmi, and she thinks that Rishi should not be there with Lakshmi, else Rishi would also be in danger. Neelam says to herself that Grandma did not know that the outhouse condition is bad. Neelam calls Rishi. Rishi tells Lakshmi that Mom should not know that he is here, and he picks the call. Neelam asks if Rishi is with Lakshmi. Rishi says no, and says Lakshmi is with you all day. But Neelam says no. Neelam thinks that Rishi is not with Lakshmi and she asks Rishi not to do anything because Vikrant is already upset. Rishi ends the call. Lakshmi looks at Rishi. Rishi says how will we leave from here because the main door is closed. He tells Lakshmi that the outhouse is angry because Lakshmi got engaged to Vikrant and she will marry him. Lakshmi asks Rishi to move and says she doesn't want to hear his useless talks. Rishi says the outhouse is in solid anger and he asks Lakshmi not to go. He says, who am I? He says, we have no relationship, but I love you and I know that you don't love me. He says you don't trust me and he asks her to trust him once. Lakshmi says to Rishi that Vikrant is not a fraud and says that she doesn't trust Rishi. Rishi says you don't trust me and says I love you very much and I cannot see you in trouble. He says you are not believing your ex-husband, but you are believing that guy when I am your good friend. Lakshmi sees something falling from the roof and she pushes Rishi. She sees the junction box packing and she picks the stick. Rishi thinks if Lakshmi wants to beat him and says sorry Lakshmi. Lakshmi tries to close the box and tells Rishi about the wires packing, but Rishi says that they should do it together. Lakshmi looks at Rishi. Rishi managed to keep the fuse off and the light goes off. Rishi says there is much dust here. Lakshmi says you are allergic to dust and she coughs. Rishi says you are coughing. Lakshmi ties her palu on her face and she asks Rishi to tie his handkerchief on his nose. Rishi argues with Lakshmi saying that his weight is less now. She asks him to tie his handkerchief to his nose and a song plays in the background. Lakshmi ties the handkerchief to Rishi's nose. Rishi falls on Lakshmi's shoulder and then says he was joking. They search for the way out of the room, but they couldn't find any. Rishi says to Lakshmi that we should break the wall to go out. Lakshmi says you had said that everything will fall if we break the wall. Rishi asks Lakshmi to forget that and says we should break the wall now. He takes the rod and walks towards the wall and the thing started falling down. Ayush tells Shalu and Bani that only Rishi knows about Vikrant. Neha comes there and tells them that she enjoyed the dance and they angrily looks at her. Neha says Saloni forced her to dance with them, else she wouldn't have danced. Ayush says it is okay and says she doesn't have to give reasons. Ayush asks that where is Lakshmi? Neha says Lakshmi is not there. Shalu asks about Vikrant. Neha says Vikrant is sitting and she tells them that Grandma has sent Lakshmi somewhere. Neelam tells Karishma that Lakshmi went to the outhouse and she tells her that she heard Virendra and Rishi talking that the outhouse need repair and Lakshmi's life might be in danger. Karishma says to Neelam that the outhouse might not be so weak to fall on Lakshmi and she asks if Rishi is with Lakshmi. Neelam says if anything happens to Lakshmi, then Rishi will go running there. Lakshmi pulls Rishi just as something is about to fall on him. She hugs him and says he should get alive also. Rishi says to Lakshmi that he doesn't want her life, and he asks that why did she risk herself for him. He says, you saved me again. Ahana tells Sonia that she seems to have danced well today. She asks if Sonia has come to know the truth about Lakshmi. Sonia says Lakshmi's heart is black and it can never change. Ahana says to Sonia that even your heart cannot be changed. Sonia says she is happy because the inauspicious effect of Lakshmi will leave from their house. Ahana says when Lakshmi goes, then you will know if inauspicious came or went away, and they argue. Rishi says to Lakshmi that his phone battery is low and the touch is off, and Lakshmi asks that how would they leave from here. Rishi says to Lakshmi that he is a multitasker and he is thinking of how to go from here. Ahana says to Sonia that if Lakshmi goes away from here, then the peace of the house will live with her. Sonia asks Ahana not to make Lakshmi as goddess. Malishka asks them not to argue and says to Ahana that you like Lakshmi, but Sonia doesn't like her. Malishka asks Ahana to accept her because she is best for Rishi and says Lakshmi will go to Vikrant's house and I will come here. Ahana says I don't know if Vikrant will keep Lakshmi happy because he is having an affair. Sonia says it is a lie and someone is trapping Vikrant and lying against him. Malishka asks them not to argue and she asks that where is Rishi, but they don't know. So Malishka wonders if Rishi and Lakshmi are together. Lakshmi thinks that it is very dark here and she asks Rishi that how would they go away from here. Rishi asks Lakshmi to hold his hand in emergency situation and he asks that where is her hand. He says we have to wait for help until someone comes to save us. Rishi says once the family members comes to know that we are here, then they will come to help us. Rishi worries that so much stuff has fallen already, so now there is nothing that can fall again. He asks Lakshmi to reply, else he would think that his worry is one-sided, and says it is actually one-sided. He says we should hide in such a place where nothing can fall on us. He says we should hide in the cupboard so that if everything falls down, then also we will be fine. Lakshmi turns and she feels pain in her foot, so Rishi lifted her and started walking. Rishi asks Lakshmi to look at the roof. He says, my death is in your embrace, so great. Lakshmi asks Rishi to keep her down and she asks him not to say that. Rishi says, actually, you are in my embrace, and he refused to put Lakshmi down. The priest tells Grandma that he has to go now. Grandma asks him to have food and then go because Lakshmi might be coming already. The priest says he has to go to someone else's house for another puja and the priest leaves. Virendra comes to Grandma and asks that why did the priest left. Grandma tells Virendra that Lakshmi had gone to get the copper utensils for the priest, but the priest was in a hurry to go. Virendra asks that where did Lakshmi go. Grandma says to the outhouse. Virendra shouted outhouse in shock. Everyone hears them and Vikrant comes there. Rishi walks holding Lakshmi in his arms and says when you are with me, then all my trouble seems to be easy and all my sorrows turns into happiness and it seems like I can never be sad with you. Lakshmi asks Rishi to leave her and says that she will walk by herself. Rishi says I will not get another chance to lift you after your marriage. Lakshmi sees the pillar moving and she gets worried. Virendra tells Grandma that the outhouse condition is bad and Grandma gets worried. Vikrant asks Virendra to tell him what has happened. Virendra tells him about Lakshmi going to the outhouse and says that the outhouse condition is bad and it needs to be repaired. He says Lakshmi haven't come back yet. He says he will call Rishi. Neelam says I will talk to Rishi and she calls Rishi's phone. Grandma blames herself for sending Lakshmi there. Just then, they hear something falling down. Virendra says that it seems that the wall fell down. Virendra and Vikrant goes to check. Grandma blames herself. Neelam asks Grandma not to blame herself and says that it was Lakshmi's destiny that she went there and everyone looks on in shock. Neelam thinks if Rishi also went there. Ahana tells Ayush that Lakshmi went to the outhouse and the condition of the outhouse is really bad. Ayush says I will go and check. He asks Ahana to look after Shalu and Bani and he goes to rescue Lakshmi. Bani asks that why did Lakshmi go there. Ahana asks them not to worry because everyone will be fine. Neelam asks Sonia if Rishi went to the outhouse and Sonia goes to see if Rishi is inside. Ayush comes there running and tells Karishma that he is going to save Lakshmi. Neelam thinks if Rishi switched off his phone intentionally. Sonia comes back to Neelam and says Rishi is not at home and Neelam is shocked. Neelam is about to go to the outhouse, but Karishma stops her and says he will not go anywhere. Grandma says I am already regretting sending Lakshmi there. Neelam says, I'm going there for Rishi. Grandma asks if Rishi is there. Karishma says yes. Grandma says then Rishi and Lakshmi would definitely save each other, and Neelam looks on. Okay guys, thank you so much guys for watching. Please don't forget to like this video, share it, and I will see you all again in my next video. Bye guys.